Right. Last video for this section. Again, we've already talked about midpoint and how to find that midpoint of a section using a compass. There is another way to find a midpoint if you have some ordered pairs to give you a location of your points. So we're going to go ahead and look at that method. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw a segment. Let's call this segment AB. Okay. So this segment is difficult to pinpoint where it's located in space. But if I was to put on an ordered pair, if I was to put it on an XY axis, and this is why we love graphing. If I was to put it on an XY axis, again, as a reminder, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and we were to give these points a location. Okay, for example, let's say A is the point over 1 up 3. So that means it's over here 1 and up here at 3. And let's give B an ordered pair. Let's say it's over 7 up 7. So that means this right here is 7, and this right here is also 7. It's over 7 up 7. The midpoint here, wherever it's at, I'm going to put it as an open dot because we're not entirely sure where it's at. Let's call it M. That midpoint is going to happen at the point that is smack dab in between 1 and 7. So now I could put all my marks in and figure out what number is exactly in the middle of 1 and 7. And then it's going to happen smack dab at the number that's in between. So its x coordinate is going to happen at whatever x coordinate is in between the 1 and the 7. The x coordinate's here. And the y coordinate over here is going to happen at whatever point is smack dab in between 3 and 7. So I could count to find them. But another way, is to find the average of the x's, because the number that's smack dab in between 1 and 7 would be the average of 1 and 7. So I find the average. If you remember how to find the averages, you add them. I would add the 1 plus the 7, and then whatever I get, divide it by 2. So 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I know this x coordinate of this midpoint is 4. 4 is the number that is smack dab in between 1 and 7, which makes sense. I have to go up 3, 1, oh, 5. 1, 2, 3 to get to 4, and then up 3 more to get to 7. Okay, so we average those. And that's the same with the y's. We average the y's to find the y coordinate of this. So I would take my 3 plus 7. I'm adding two numbers, so I divide them by 2. So 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So then the y coordinate of this point is 5. The y coordinate of this point is 5. So this one's up 5. 5 is the number smack dab in between 3 and 7. Now, these ones were kind of easy to find that middle number, but they're not always that way. Sometimes you have negative, sometimes you have. So basically, what this next little blue box does is our midpoint formula is it just puts into symbols what we just did. If A is the point x sub 1, y sub 1, these are what we call subscripts. Their only purpose is to differentiate that this x and this x are different x's. This is x of the first point. This is x of the second point. This is y of the first point. This is y of the second point. Okay. So to find that midpoint, what we do here is it's just saying we add the two x's, add the x of the first point plus the x of the second point, and then divide by 2, or average. So I always like to just remember average the x's, average and the y's. Average the x's, then average the y's. So let's go to an application type, well, kind of application type problem. So here we're given these points. A is the coordinate -3, 2. B is 5, 2. C is 1, 1. And D is 1, 7. We want to find the midpoint of segment AB. So first I'm going to draw in AB. We have some positives, we have some negatives, because there's a -3 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw, again, look, I'm using a ruler to draw it. I'm going to go ahead and draw my axis here in the middle. Put arrows on my axis. We normally tend to put arrows on the positive direction. Here's X, here's Y. So now let's go ahead and let's put A in. A is the point -3, 2. So again, I have to go left and right first. X comes first. So back 1, 2, 3, up 2. Put my point, label it as A, -3, 2. Label my point. Might be kind of tiny there. B is the point 5, 2. So that's to the right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 2. So there's point B, 5, 2. So let's draw that segment in. Now, find the midpoint of AB. Okay. Well, I can always eyeball or count over 1, 2, 3. Okay. But I'm going to find it mathematically here. The midpoint of AB. So I'm going to go AB, kind of label so I know what I'm finding here. So I add the x's, add the y's. So let's take the x, -3. -3 plus 5 divided by 2, comma. Now we add the y's. 2 plus 2 divided by 2. -3 plus 5, same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. So that'd be 2 over 2. 2 plus 2 is 4 over 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided. So the midpoint is at 1, 2. And then I like to graph that over 1 and make sure it makes sense. So there's my midpoint. We'll label that M. So we labeled that M. Is the point 1, 2. Which that does seem to work. 1, 2, 3, 4 from there. 1, 2, 3, 4 from there. Okay, so, and that says find the midpoint of AB and the midpoint of CD. So let's come over here and let's do the same thing for CD. So C is the point 1, 1. So a 1 plus 1 divided by 2. The y coordinates, 1 and 7. 1 plus 7 divided by 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it looks like that midpoint we'll call P. Got to give it a different letter. We can't have two M's. Can't have two Kyles in the same room. So 0.14. Well, let's double check. I didn't graph this one. So let's graph it. So C is the 0.11 right here. C, 1, 1. And D is the 0.17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. D is the 0.17. Okay, let's connect them. The midpoint of this is the 0.14 over 1, 1, 2, right there, which is P. Do the segments intersect at one of the midpoints? Yeah, it went straight through M. Yes. Yes. At the midpoint of AB. Explain your reasoning. Well, they both have an x coordinate of 1. All of these have an x coordinate of 1, so they're on the vertical line at 1. Vertical is up and down. Remember, explain our reasoning. Oh, well, we could, for explanation, we could just say, I graphed it. I graphed it. And it went through point M. If that's how you determined it. Again, this one, I would definitely go to the graph, get that visual. Another reason is they all have an x coordinate of 1, meaning they're all going to lie on this vertical line that has an x coordinate of 1. That'd be another explanation there.